Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we got a rather special video for you. We're going to be going over 10 upcoming indie monster taming titles, or as some of you might refer to them as Pokemon likes. But throughout this video, I think we'll establish that despite the clear Pokemon inspiration, each one of these games can hold their own as unique titles. That being said, joining me today is a person whose videos actually introduced me to the monster taming genre in the first place, and I couldn't be happier to have him here. You may already know him and might have seen the title, but I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey, what's going on, guys? This is Kami Games, and I simply love indie games, so I created a channel to help spread the word. Much like Ed, I'm a big fan of monster taming games, having grown up with titles like Dragon Warrior Monsters and of course, Pokemon. And it's wonderful to see the indie games in this space as well. If you're interested in other genres like Metroidvanias, roguelites, platformers and so on, do hop on over after the video.
Just one last thing before we dive in, we also covered 10 other monster taming games over on Clemmy's channel, so definitely make sure to check that video out, which will be linked in the description. With the monster taming games we'll be discussing here, some of which are less known whilst others are somewhat niche, so definitely if you want that full list, make sure to check it out after.
And with that, let's get into the list. A title which strays away from your traditional monster taming RPG is Re-Legend, one that incorporates action and farming elements, looking like one part Stardew Valley, one part Fantasy Life, and one part Pokemon. The creatures of Magnus here can follow you around, be ridden as a mount, and even evolve, with a nice variety of creatures and activities to do. However, this did launch a little buggy, hence the mixed reviews rating, where the developers kept adding monsters rather than fixing the core issues, but they did put out a major patch in November, which has smoothed things out. It seems to be moving towards a 1.0 release, so if you have been holding out, perhaps it's time to take the plunge.
Minecraft is a very interesting project for several reasons. As the name suggests, which by the way the name is a working title, the game takes inspiration from both Pokemon, specifically the second generation, and Minecraft in its building aspects. Minecraft in and of itself is a monster taming survival action RPG which includes resource gathering, monster management, base building, and more. Also, of course, as the game is an action RPG, that means you'll be experiencing real-time combat. Basically how it's been described is like a retro-styled Pokemon game mixed with inventory management from a game like Minecraft or Terraria, with the overworld customization and design of a game like Animal Crossing. Other than that, we don't have a whole lot of footage for this game just yet, just because it's a pre-alpha. However, do expect it to be something we cover quite regularly on the channel.
The Zelda-style action-adventure game is also of interest to me, and a title which blends it very nicely with monster taming elements is Creature Keeper. This was successfully kickstarted in November 2019 and is currently in an alpha state, having you taming monsters and adventuring in order to find the source of corruption in the land. As an action title, this looks fantastic, as your character rolls around and attacks, but the creatures can aid you in battle as well. There's a whole bestiary which you fill out by raising or fighting said creatures, and also has farming sim elements in the form of a pocket garden which you can use to grow various ingredients. This developer is also actively sharing updates, a significant one being that creatures are now able to wear hats, so it simply looks awesome, which makes me very excited.
Messin in a Bottle is another niche title that I think deserves more attention. We actually received a very detailed description of the game straight from the developer alongside this footage, and it reads as follows. The world of Messin in a Bottle has a heartbeat that doesn't wait for you. Prepare to get immersed into a monster taming world like none other, where every monster has its own life and its own unique personality. Journey far from home across unfamiliar lands to discover who you are and where you came from at your own pace and in your own way. Work your way up the Tamers Guild ranks to become the champion who soon forgets to defend their title. Partake in turn-based turn-based battles that will make you ask yourself, how many more puddles do I have to freeze until my opponent starts slipping on them? Breed a lineage of fish monsters that are known for how bright they will glow in the dark and for their tendency to fall asleep in battle. The world of Mesen is more than just an environment for the player to explore, it's a vibrant ecosystem, and with 100 different species of Mesen inhabiting the world, each with complex handcrafted AI, the possibilities are nearly endless.
An often overlooked series in this space is the Shin Megami Tensei games, since they are a lot less family-friendly and deals with spirits and demons instead. So an indie game in a similar space is Eternal Exodus. It's set in the afterlife where you're pissing off the wrong demons in power, so you do have to gather your own team of demons to protect you. While it does use some stock assets for the characters, there are 150 unique demons with a fusion system like Dragon Warrior monsters, so it does check many of the boxes that I look for in such games. Customization and fusion elements look suitably fleshed out as well, with skill inheritance from parent creatures, so it does look like a promising entry in the genre.
Anatons is an open-world sandbox survival game that is inspired by both Ark and Pokemon. It features 9 different types which will interact through their real-time combat system, resource gathering through mining and various means, highly customizable base building and farming, etc. Each Anaton has a specific use, both in and out of battle, and it's up to the player to decide how much battling or farming they want to do. Unlike other games with farming being the forefront, if you want to play this game and focus just on battling, you can, and if you only want to focus just on farming, you can as well. This adds a greater layer of player choice to what essentially is a player-driven experience. The game recently had its Kickstarter in which it was unsuccessful, however the developers have stated that their goal is to now secure a publisher to meet funding requirements. The game is planned for release in 2023, however given the current circumstances, nothing is really set in stone at the moment. We'll keep you updated as time goes on.
Being an indie game fan, of course I'm a fan of roguelites, since the procedural generation and run-based structure can provide near infinite replayability, so of course, Patch Quest is of interest. It's a super adorable action title where you get to wrangle monsters using your lasso to gain control, eventually riding them as a mount and using their abilities. This developer is fairly active on YouTube, sharing videos and updates on the game's development, so if you are curious about that process, definitely check it out, but if you're not, this should release sometime in 2021, so stay tuned and we'll let you know when it does.
Mithrin is a monster taming game in which fans of the Monster Rancher series can relish in. Taking direct inspiration from games like Pokemon and Monster Rancher, Mithrin is a day-to-day social sim RPG with a focus on the monsters in question, aka Mithrin. The gameplay loop consists of fighting other trainers, socializing, participating in tournaments, and more. You must bond with your Mithrin in order to maximize its potential, and this is done through various means such as minigames, defeating Darkin, a seemingly corruptive entity that exists within the island, and of course collecting resources to upgrade your home island, creating a more comfortable space for your friends. Oh, and did I mention that this game has real-time combat? It's somewhat reminiscent of a fusion between Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm and Naruto Clash of Ninja. That's how I look at it anyway. But yeah, the way they do it's pretty neat if I do say so myself.
Monster Crown released in early access in July and has impressed at first glance, but in the months since then, it has been getting steady patches and updates, so the game is shaping up. It tries to differentiate itself by promising a darker, more mature take on the monster taming genre, dealing with a truly evil antagonist rather than the goofy Team Rockets of the Pokemon franchise. Additionally, this has true cross-breeding of monsters, which is impressive on a technical level, since creatures that are bred do take on the characteristics of the parents, not simply a whole new monster, but down to the color scheme, tentacles, limbs, and so on. Very promising so far and another candidate to keep an eye on.
Taking the #1 spot, at least out of the 5 games I'm talking about, is Necromancer's Gift, an upcoming title that immediately grabbed my interest. This is a turn-based RPG and has a simple yet intriguing premise. You're just a middle-aged dude walking his dog, and the pup ends up lost within the Necromancer's lair, the setting of the game. Because of this, you decide to follow your dog, and are now tasked with traveling through a series of rooms and floors, having to defeat mysterious floor leaders whom, for some reason, are just hanging out down there, and ultimately facing off against a Necromancer himself, or at least I'm assuming. The game features permadeath for your monsters, so you do have to really think strategically before you rush into a fight, dual held items allowing for a much wider strategical spectrum, and roughly 100 monsters to either capture or kill. Something about the more rugged and monstrous looking designs, as opposed to a lot of games that simply use almost what is elemental animals or mythical beings, it has me really intrigued by this game. The monsters in this game truly feel like actual monsters rather than just pets, and I think that the amazing pixel art does a great job of encapsulating almost an uneasy feeling from the monsters. You're not trying to pet these guys, you're not trying to be, oh good boy, no, these are vicious weapons of combat, and I've got to say, this is definitely one of my most anticipated games for sure. So yeah guys, that was 10 of our most anticipated niche and or unrepresented monster taming titles. When separating into 2 videos, it made a lot of sense to have these games over on my end for a few reasons. Firstly, some of these games push the limits of what we may consider a monster tamer. For example, games like Patch Quest and Creature Keeper teach us that monster taming is not exclusively a subsect of the JRPG genre. Secondly, some of these games feature extremely unique systems such as Monster Crown's crossbreeding or Anaton's sandbox approach. And thirdly, a lot of these games are games that I've had the personal pleasure of watching cultivate a community and grow. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I just want to say thank you so much again to Clemmy for joining me, and please make sure to check out that other video where we go over more games in which I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of and maybe expected to see here. But yeah, until next time, peace.